Back on the Young Turks. Now let's talk a little energy policy. We're talking to Mike Tidwell. He is the Chesapeake Climate Action Network director, and he joins us again on the Young Turks. Hey, Mike, how are you?
Hey, I'm fine. Thanks for having me.
We appreciate your time. First, let me start with what your thoughts are on the bill that passed the House, the cap and trade bill from Waxman and Marklet.
Well, it's a valiant first step. The United States needs to join reality and join the rest of the world in dealing with greenhouse gases. And so this is a first step, but unfortunately it's not a very strong one. There are a lot of flaws. There's a lot of corporate pork, a lot of loopholes. And unfortunately, President Obama, when he ran for president, he was saying the right things. He said, I want to have a 100% auction of greenhouse gas pollution permits. All the corporate polluters have to pay, and I want to give that money, most of that money, back to Americans. Just rebate it to them. And then in February, in his federal budget, he said the same thing. When he unveiled his budget, he said 100% auction of permits for greenhouse gases, and I'm going to give 85% of the money back to Americans in terms of tax rebates, and I'm going to take 15% of that money and invest it in clean energy. Unfortunately, after February, it went to Congress, the corporate lobbyists got a hold of it, and what passed was something very, very different than what President Obama first called for.
All right, let's pause there for a second, Mike, because I think a lot of people might not be familiar with these terms. First, let's explain for everybody what the cap part of this is. What are we capping, and how are we capping it?
Well, the problem is we're emitting, hundreds of millions of tons of greenhouse gases every year, principally carbon dioxide. This odorless, invisible gas migrates to the atmosphere, stays up there for about a century, traps heat, and it's from the burning of oil, coal, and natural gas. We need to stop that. We need to freeze it and then bring it down, sort of like the nuclear freeze movement in the 80s. The idea was, let's not get too much into the details about how we're going to reduce and this missile versus that missile. Let's just freeze everything first, and once we've frozen them, the weapons, then we can reduce them. Well, the cap, the idea is to pick a year in the future. In this case, it's 2012, and then, stop the increase in CO2 emissions in the United States, and then bring those emissions down. So cap it and then bring it down. And you do that by requiring polluters to buy permits, and you only issue a certain number of permits equal to the amount of CO2 you want emitted that year. So you have, originally Obama said we'll have an auction. You'll have to buy a permit to emit carbon dioxide if you burn coal for electricity or import oil from Saudi Arabia.
Hold on, let's pause for a second there, because that's a good explanation. But when we talk about burning energy, who are we talking about here? Are we talking about the guys who take the oil out of the ground? Are we talking about the guys who use the oil for their factories? Are we talking about the consumers who use it in their cars?
Well, it's a great question, because there are different ways that you can cap greenhouse gases. Now, there's a great gentleman out there on the West Coast named Peter Barnes, who was the founder of Working Assets Long Distance, a great entrepreneur, very concerned about climate change. Peter Barnes came up with this idea of cap and dividend. So it's similar to what Obama said, cap the greenhouse gases and then rebate the money, except that Peter Barnes said you want to upstream cap. In other words, if you try to cap every tailpipe, regulate every tailpipe, every smokestack, every emission point in America, it gets really complicated. It's almost undoable. But if you simply put a cap and regulate the point of first sale, okay, if you're offloading oil from Saudi Arabia, at that moment you need a permit. If you're bringing coal up from the ground and you're selling it to utilities, the moment you sell it to utilities, you need a permit. That would only regulate about 1,000 to 3,000 entities in the country. Unfortunately, the Waxman-Markey bill is what's called a downstream cap. It really tries to regulate emissions coming out of smokestacks and tailpipes. It's very complicated, and it's going to take a lot of regulatory resources.
So we know roughly how much, what our levels right now are, and by 2012 we're going to try to freeze those levels and then say, God, it sounds so hard to figure out how we're going over the levels. The whole thing seems really difficult to me. And then
well, it doesn't have to be. I mean, that's the point. Look, carbon dioxide is an odorless, invisible gas, all right? When we exhale carbon dioxide. So you're right. it's not easy to spot. It's not like it's colored purple and we can see it coming out of the ground or out of tailpipes. The point is, you need Obama in February had a plan that was simple, fair, and built to last. It would be durable. It was simple in that all the polluters pay. You got to have a permit. It was fair in that he was going to rebate most of the money to Americans. And because of the first two, the third one was guaranteed durability. If it's a simple plan, if it's fair, then it's going to be built for the 50 years it takes to phase fossil fuels out of our system, out of our economy. Unfortunately, Congress on June 26th with the Waxman-Markey bill passed a bill that's not simple. It's 1,400 pages long. It's complicated because the polluters got a hold of it. Coal said, no, give the money to us, and let's grandfather this coal plant and give this money to these utilities, and let's have this compensation over here, and let's delay this and that. 1,400 pages of this stuff because the corporate polluters got a hold of it, watered it down, pumped it full of loopholes, so it's complex, unfair, and built to fall apart. What we need to do in the Senate is rejigger the system. Go back to Obama's original plan, and frankly, the president needs to get involved. I mean, part of the problem, I'm optimistic about health care because the president is a health care activist. It's on the front page of every newspaper because that's what the president talks about every day. Now, he's not talking about climate every day. In fact, 3 hours before the big vote on June 26th, 3 hours before the vote, when Congress, Waxman wasn't even sure he had enough votes, they were whipping the halls of Congress, Obama sent an email out to his 13 million, email addresses that he collected during the presidential campaign. 3 hours before the vote on the Waxman-Markey bill, Obama sent out an email on health care to 13 million
All
people.
Right, Mike, let's try to figure, and we're talking to Mike Tidwell here. He's the director of Chesapeake Climate Action Network. Let me try to visualize this. Let's say that, when you talk about capping emissions, let's say there's 100x of something, right? And we decided in 2012 that we've got 100x of this thing, and that's where we're going to cap it. And then by 2050, we're going to try to bring it down to 80x, so bring it down a little bit, right? And then what do we do with that 100x? Do we sell it, and then people have to buy it? So if you're at a coal factory, I don't know, I'm making stuff up here, or you're at a shoe factory, do you have to buy it?
Yeah. The U.S. Department of Energy already keeps track of how much coal is combusted in this country, how much gasoline is used. We already know how much energy we're using. That's not a mystery. And it's a lot. And the U.S. Department of Energy already has what everybody agrees, even the climate skeptics and the people who are fighting for climate policy, everybody agrees that we know how much energy we're talking about. Okay? So we keep tabs of that stuff. All right?
Right, but how do you buy it, or how do you get permission to put it in the air under this new system?
Well, under this system, if you are let's say a coal-fired electricity plant, okay, the government already knows how much coal you're burning because you have to report it because of other pollutants, mercury, nitrogen, sulfur. So we already keep track of that. So now, in order to burn a ton of coal, you're going to have to surrender a piece of paper that says, I have a permit to burn this, okay? So the government's only going to under the Waxman-Markey bill, give away most of it. Obama wanted to auction it, so polluters pay. But anyway, they're going to be, you said 100x. Let's say 100x of greenhouse gases. All right. So you're gonna issue 100 permits, one permit per X. All right. And if you don't have that permit, if you don't surrender it to the government at the beginning of the calendar year, then you can't burn that amount of coal. So you have to either have been given a permit from the government, or in the case of a small number of these, gone to auction. So it's not as complicated as it sounds. It's doable. Everyone agrees it's doable.
All right. So let's get to
being done.
All right. So now we understand the cap part. Let's get to the trade part. So we have these, 100X that are out there, and if you have the permit. Now, you're saying they should have charged for the permit. That makes sense to me. But in fact, some of the industry is going to get it for free because they got their lobbyists to put it in the bill. What's the trade part? How does that work?
Okay, so 85% of the permits under the Waxman-Markey bill are actually given away instead of auctioned. So if you pollute the sky, you get to do it for free. Now, if you decide that you don't want to burn coal, that you want to actually sell or trade, swap with someone else, your carbon dioxide permit, then you're allowed to do that. And the problem is this bill allows anybody in America, any entity, any company, any individual who wants to get into the carbon trading business, green light. Go ahead. There's a lot of concern that there's not enough regulation. There's not enough oversight over who's going to be selling what. And especially after what America saw on Wall Street and, trading in derivatives and, all these exotic Wall Street instruments, there's a lot of concern that this isn't going to turn out well. So again, you can have something that's complex, unfair, and built to fall apart, or the Peter Barnes idea, the cap and dividend, upstream cap and no trading. You cap the CO2. If you want to pollute, you got to pay for it, and that money goes to U.S. Treasury. U.S. Treasury rebates it to every American, even dividend. And the concept is, who owns the sky? Do corporations own it? Does the government own it? No, we all have a common share in this one and only life-giving climate. Therefore, everybody should be rebated if somebody wants to burn coal and pollute it.
All right. Now, I'm going to ask an absurd question, but there's a point behind it. If I say to the government, hey, you know what, I was going to intend on burning a lot of coal. Under the Waxman-Markey bill, why don't you just give me all the permits for this? And then I turn around and go, hey, Bob or Joe, you want to buy this stuff? Here, give me money for it. Why can't I do that?
Well, you could. Now, the proponents of the Waxman-Markey bill say it doesn't matter if you sell the permits or you give them away. The point is you have a cap. There's only going to be a certain number of permits issued a year, and those are going to be equal to the amount of CO2 emitted in 2012. And in 2013, it's going to be less. And so whether I give you a permit or you buy it, you still have to have a permit equal to a ton of coal that you're burning. Now, if you choose not to burn the coal and you have that permit has value because somebody else might want to burn it or somebody might want to burn the equal
right, but
amount.
Under your plan, you would auction it, right? So I get that if I wanted to have that permit, I'd have to pay for it. So, well, then I'm not going to. But under this plan, there is no auction. So how do they get it? Why can't I get it? Why can't I get it for free?
Well, you aren't a registered polluter of the sky, as far as I can tell. If you are,
so if I was already a polluter, then I could get this for free. But since I don't already pollute, sad day for me. I can't get this really valuable thing for free.
You can't get it for free. Now, you could go into the trading business and you could find out that Southern Company has some greenhouse gas permits that they choose to sell, and you could buy them and sit on them or trade them to someone else. You could get into buying and trading of these permits. But no, you can't get them. ExxonMobil is going to get them. The refineries are going to get it. The utilities are going to get permits. If the natural
is there any policy justification?
Gas going to get them.
Is there any policy justification for giving it away free to ExxonMobil and all these other companies? Or is it just like, hey, you know what, we couldn't do it unless we paid off all these guys?
Depends on who you ask. Look, to get the bill out of committee, out of the Energy and Commerce Committee, lots of deals had to be cut. To get the bill out of the House, a lot more deals had to be cut. For example, for agriculture, the U.S. agriculture community demanded that the life cycle, the carbon life cycle of biofuels like corn ethanol, which is a boondoggle. It doesn't reduce greenhouse gas emissions, but by a tiny fraction once you count the whole life cycle of the corn that's grown, the petroleum-based fertilizer that's used, the land that's disturbed to grow it, etc. By the time you're done making corn ethanol, you could get as much greenhouse gas emission reduction just by properly inflating your tires. But the agriculture industry, once the bill got out of Energy and Commerce, demanded that it be amended on the floor so that all kinds of crazy agricultural things were put into the bill. So,
Mike,
lots of deals were cut in order to get enough votes. Look, when you have the Republican Party completely unified to fight health care, completely unified in their opinion that global warming is not even happening, then admittedly, it makes it really hard for the Dems to get anything passed. And Henry Waxman is that he worked really hard, and I believe that he did the best he could with the blueprints that he decided to push, cap and trade. Now, had he pushed another framework, in my view, a cap and dividend, where he had gone to Americans and said, you know what, we're going to cut the polluters out of this, we're going to make them pay, and we're going to give you the American public the money back. Everybody gets one dividend. You get up to $100 a month for you and every member of your family. It can be done. It's transparent. It's fair. It's ungameable. But instead, to get the votes that he thought he needed, he went with a cap and trade approach, and this is what we have.
We're out of time, so here are my conclusions. One, our Congress is, as usual, completely bought by the corporations, and it's a joke. It's an absolute joke, because, we can't get the bill done unless we kiss ExxonMobil's ass and give them stuff for free. That's ridiculous. I mean, look at how absurd our system is. Conclusion number 2, unfortunately, is I don't think they're going to get this thing done at all. I think that the Republicans are going to kill this fairly easily, because it's too hard for the average person to understand. It does raise prices, which you could get back through a dividend, but they decided not to do your dividend strategy, and I don't see enough of a push for it. So it's bad news on this front.
Well, in all fairness, just very quickly for the record, the Waxman-Markey bill gives many of the permits for free to utilities, and the utilities promise to give it to ratepayers in various ways. But not a single consumer group in America advocated for it. Not one consumer group asked for it.
Yeah, that's a great way of doing things. Why don't we give it to the corporations, and they promise they'll kind of give it to us later, maybe. Yeah. Okay, I'll see how that one works out. All right. But look, Mike Tidwell, Director of Chesapeake Climate Action Network, thank you so much for coming on. That was really interesting information. We're glad that you talked us through it. Thank you, man.
Thanks for having me on the show.